ahead on this first season of Standard Bred.
We never actually named him until a couple of weeks before he was off to the trials to qualify, and we knew at this stage he was something pretty special. So I really wanted, you know, a good name.
Incredibly, when we arrived there, we didn't have a book, we didn't have a catalogue, and the horse, I said, what lot is it? And he said, well, I don't know. So we managed to grab a book, and she was literally walking into the ring as we arrived.
You know, and he's getting on now too, so age is not being kind as happens with all of them. It just makes it a bit harder work, a bit more challenging for us to try and get the results and get some more of those really good progeny on the ground.
But first, the ingredients and fringe benefits to breeding your own champion harness racer. Standard Bred is supported by a stable of key players in the New Zealand Standard Bred breeding and racing industries. Honey, I've bred a champion. We're heading overseas and setting ourselves up for a good life.
Cheers. She had a terrific attitude, yeah. She'd just tear around the paddock. She was obviously very athletic. She was my favourite in the paddock.
Graham Pearson might be an ambitious gambler. Not you put it all on the favourite in the last and hope for the best type.
I think I was at one cup meeting. I think I made 10,000 for the day, which went out and bought a house.
More do your homework, know the form, and trust a gut instinct sort.
Just got hooked going out to the races. A little bit of punting earlier on helped get me through university, pay the fees, so yeah, I was a bit it was a reasonable sort of income in those days when nothing was on trackside. I shouldn't say that, but you go to trials and horses weren't even named a lot of the time, and you could pick them up and they go a terrific race and they go out first start and pay $30 or $40. You make a bit of money. But I graduated and then I worked at the university and got a little bit of money. Then when I had enough, I went out and bought my first mare.
Taking in a Wayne Francis broodmare sale back in the early 90s was knowing the form. A Franco farmer's market for some, potential treasure chest for Graham.
Bought a mother from one of Wayne Francis's dispersal sales. We heard that Wayne Franco was had ability, but she got injured early, and it was obviously a top breed, especially for fillies.
Stacks of homework, a basic requirement for achieving science and engineering degrees. And this novice horse breeder did plenty of it when calculating a stallion for his second-hand broodmare.
Then we went to In the Pocket his first year in New Zealand. We thought he's a well-credentialed horse, perhaps the best credentialed that ever come out here, so we thought we'd risk him, and we got the filly Undercover Lover. And the only reason we didn't put her in the sale, we didn't think we'd get any more than the Smooth Fella fetched the year before, which was 5,000, so we didn't think it was worth putting in the sale.
Now, a scientist might refer to it as success due to chance. Commonly, it's the vital ingredient for most things that turn out well: luck. Treating the breeding challenge as a business venture first, Graham always has a price on his horses, even favourite yearling fillies that race everything all day in the paddock. 10,000 was the bounty when noted horsemen and agents came looking. Luckily, Racy rated worst on show that day.
You might not want me telling you this. Came out and had a look at all those foals that year, and I put a value on them all. I actually put 10,000 on Undercover Lover, and I think there were about 6 foals in the paddock, and he rated her the lowest of the lot, only 2 out of 10. He bought 2 of those horses, and I don't think they turned out any good, but there was Undercover Lover in the paddock.
There are times when 2 out of 10 seems generous. Racy's racy enthusiasm couldn't be curbed to start with.
Well, you never know for sure. They break in well, and they just want to run. She was beautiful gaited, But earlier on she had problems, steering problems. She'd always go with the head around. You try to pull a pole on her, she'd try and put you on a fence, and we could never get her used to having a pole on, but she got better over the years. And it was just when you managed to straighten her up a little bit, and she just wanted to run. She's just beautiful gaited, beautiful balance.
What odds on a champion 2-year-old pacing filly of 1997? Records all the way, bigger dollar offers every second week. Even a quietly besotted scientist couldn't have calculated that. A big trip to America could be added to the equation now, though.
Well, to start with, we could, because she was Northern Hemisphere bred. She was bred on the 8th of January, so you think, oh, what's bred to Northern Hemisphere time? So there is a chance she could race over there in the Classics. So, as a 2-year-old, she raced up in Auckland, and she went a 154 something mile rate. So if you look at that time, you think, well, she's going to be very competitive over there. So from that point on, we thought, oh, maybe we can go over. So we started paying up the stakes races sort of a year out before we went over, just to make sure we were eligible for them.
A voyage into the unknown. A tiny filly from New Zealand, rugged up, parcelled and packed off to take in the North American Triple Crown for 3-year-old pacing fillies. Once the locals worked out New Zealand was down by Australia and not the province in northeastern Canada, they were politely welcoming.
I think someone commented, oh, yeah, it's very nice of you to come over here, but you've picked a very tough year to come over. The 3-year-old fillies are terrific this year.
And they're often pacing. Undercover Lover N and Armbro Rosebud are making sharp gate moves.
But I think we ended up about 3rd in the rankings at the end of the season, even though we only raced for half the season. They give ranking points for all the stakes races. So we were right up there.
Turn for home in the first 1998 and 16th annual Van Hanover Stakes elimination. Armbro Rosebud, Undercover Lover N, is striding up alongside her, looks her in the eye, comes right on past. Welcome to North America. Undercover Lover N and Anthony Butt win the first Van elimination by 2.5 lengths over Armbro Rosebud.
A 151 win in a Van Hanover elimination had satellites booked for television coverage of the finals back home. The in-your-face filly from far, far away had made her immediate impression.
Well, it's certainly worth the trip. You can't die wondering what might have happened. She had the chance to do it, so we went and did it. But she did a terrific job, considering she'd been up for about 1.5 years almost. I can't remember. She came into work and I think in about August 1 year and finished racing December the next. So that's a huge season for any horse. She'd never had a break the whole time other than a few days when she was flying or quarantined.
So did she sort of set you up for life?
Yeah, we bought this property and built a house and put in a vineyard on it. So yeah, there's not much left over now. So it was all her, yeah. But we've had Wahaka lasses well since, and she won 3 Group 1s over in Australia, so she helped as well, so it wasn't entirely Undercover Lover. We've had plenty of horses since that have used up a lot of that money as well, so you get one good horse, you've got to pay for 100 others that aren't as good.
The family Graham Pearson picked up on back in those early 1990s has proven results. Racy might not have left a runner as good as herself, but her daughters and closest relatives are overachievers in the broodmare barn.
It's been terrific. Philly's family for many years, and well, Better Cover Lover came out as well. Every couple of generations you get a champion filly will come out of it. The colts, out of some of the daughters of Undercover Lover, are starting to show up now as well. The colts are going better than they did in the older breed. But yeah, you can get a champion filly out of this breed. It'll just come from anywhere.
Have you got it floating around here somewhere in the corner?
Not that I know of. I've got a colt out of Undercover Lover this year, a rock and roll dance, and that'll be in the sale, so there's no filly there. But the filly her daughter that I'm breeding from, artistic lover, she's got a rock and roll filly foal, and that's in the sale as well. You never know, it could be that one.
So she's in foal too?
She's in foal to Auckland Reactor, so yeah, she's getting on a bit now. I didn't want to have to spend too much, so the foals lately have only just been sort of recovering the costs when you put them through the sales. So yeah, he was top racehorse, and he tends to leave them quite big, so that's quite good because Undercover Lover can leave them a little bit on the small side. She's not large herself.
That unsellable filly had million-dollar values by the time she'd finished racing. As calculated, she'd set herself and all around her up for life. Standardbred is supported by a stable of key players in the New Zealand Standardbred breeding and racing industries. If there's any secret equine genetic equation or principle for Standardbreds, Graham Pearson hasn't cracked it yet.
Absolutely, it's luck, yeah. You've got to have a good breed to start with, pretty much. Otherwise, your chances are very slim. And then you just try and pick the right stallion and hope for the best. I prefer outcross to outcross breeding. But apart from that, you're just trying to sort of match up sort of traits and try and, if a horse is a bit small, you're looking for a bigger one. If it's sort of not very well gated, you're looking for a good gated horse. Just trying to sort of iron out any problems you might have had in the mare, and sort of, yeah, just try and get the perfect horse.
Luck or good management, a champion or two can still open the door on a good life if you're not too preoccupied with the one source.
It smells like Turkish delight or light cheese.
Oh yeah, light cheese, I've got that.
And on the taste, you get spicy finish to it, which comes from the phenolics in the skin. When Undercover Lover retired, we were wondering what we're going to do for the rest of our life, and thought, oh, we've got the money now, maybe we should put it into a vineyard and try and make sort of nice wine, because, you know.
It's a bit like punting to breeding. It's a long way from drinking wine to actually making it. Did you learn a bit about it? Or?
Yeah, in 2001 I went to Lincoln University to do a postgrad diploma in winemaking and viticulture, and it just followed on from there. We bought this property in 2001, and it was bare land then, and planted and built the house and paddocks and put the track in. This is mainly Pinot Noir. There's 4 rows of Riesling over to the left, and the rest is Pinot Noir. It's tiny as far as vineyards go. It's only 2.2 hectares, but there's almost 10,000 plants in here, so it still takes us a fair while. Well, we talk in tonnes. We aim for about 12, 13 tonnes of Pinot a year, and we're about half to 3/4 of a tonne of Riesling. That's about all, and once we sort of get up to selling all that, we might plant a little bit more and increase that a bit.
How does that equate to bottles? How many bottles is that?
We've been selling on average half the crop, and just making the rest into wine. We make 4,000 or 5,000 bottles of Pinot a year, and yeah, that's probably about 1,000 bottles of Riesling. So we named it Lover's Rest because she paid for it, but that label wasn't working that well for us, so we had to get a better label. So we went with a distributor in Auckland, and they found us a designer, and we've designed a new label now and changed the name to Mon Cheval, my horse. So that seems to work. It keeps the horse story. Everyone seems to want a story now. It's not quite what I look for. I look for the quality of the wine, but all the marketing people say it's all about story.
Always unlikely Graham would stomp into viticulture with his glass half empty. He did the homework, got the degree, went with his own tastes, and judging by the judging and some sampling at work, Le Mont Cheval's 5 Étoiles.
I'm a little bit biased, but I think it's very good. It's probably one of the better Pinot Noirs up here in Waipara now. Might arguably could be the best, because we put it in the local show last year, and there were only 5 golds given out, and we got 2 of them for our 2 Pinots, 2009, 2010, and including People's Choice Award Best Red and the champion overall wine of the show. So that's our Pinots. They're doing very well. It's made in a style that will last for a long time as well. It's a quality wine.
Just like the horses for Graham and his partner Deborah, the vineyard stems from a passion. When applied with smart ambition and hard work, it combines for a well-rounded, full-bodied, good life.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get a little more established, and yeah, I think this will do us in a so-called retirement. Keep us busy and out of trouble anyway.
And the horses? Just an overview on where they're at the moment?
I'm trying to scale down, but there's obviously a couple of mares that I can't sell, like Undercover Lover and Wahaka Lass. I think they've got to hang around. It'll be tough selling them, they're part of the family. But I like to just cut down and breed from sort of a couple of mares. It'd be nice just to sort of keep my hand in, and because it's been a great industry to us, and yeah, I'd like to sort of just keep the odd one.
Is this the gamble that keeps on giving then? Or like wine, are time and patience best friends when it comes to having luck breeding Standardbreds?
Cheers to Undercover Lover, eh?
Yeah. Cheers.
Thanks for the yarn.
Hope we get another couple.
Yeah.
Undercover Lover, the race favourite, is the leader by 2.
Is the best way to breed a champion filly like Undercover Lover trying to make history repeat itself? From the first crop of In the Pocket, who can undeniably be held responsible for reigniting the Standardbred down here when he arrived back in 1993, fleet-footed flying machines resulted from his injection of fresh blood flowing down the direct scooter line. Not bad for a horse taken out of New York for not producing, of all things, a decent 2-year-old first up.
And George Shaw, who owned the horse at the time, made the decision to stand him in Ohio, I think it was from memory. And in doing that, he took him out of those main states, the likes of New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey particularly back then. And so the horse didn't have that same exposure up there. He left some nice horses up there, but the only way back then he could shuttle it in a reasonable amount of time was to have him stand in Ohio. So that counted against In the Pocket, I think.
So at that time, we were probably crying out for that direct scooter line because there wasn't a hell of a lot going on down here. North America had enough of it?
That would probably be the case too, yes, yeah. It was something new to the broodmare band in New Zealand, and that's why it made such a dramatic impact, I think. It just put in that extra speed and toughness that we needed just to take it up that notch. Whereas North America, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a unique pedigree to come into their broodmare band up there.
So why him and not stallions like OK Buy or Deal Direct or Direct Flight, who got here before or around the same time? Maybe it was because he was about $1 million better than them on the racetrack. Was it the tar heel matching back with our mares by Albatross stallions like Vance Hanover and in Undercover Lover's case, Holmes Hanover? Who knows?
Is that a basic breeding theory? You've got to inject something that's different.
A good outcross sire is going to offer you potentially more gains in your performances and your horses if you're looking at generational improvement, because you're bringing something completely new in. It can be the exact opposite and be a complete flop, but if it works pretty dramatically because you've introduced that completely new bloodline into the pedigree.
In Undercover Lover's case, it might just have been combustion, exploding with her phenomenal female relatives like Cup Class Classics filly Van Glory, a full sister to the equally talented Bella Gilly. The latter won the New Zealand Derby, the former ran second in it, and was placed in the New Zealand Cup twice.
But Undercover Lover's well clear for David Butt. The only certainty is that Undercover Lover has won it very comfortably.
After Undercover Lover, there was quickly Classy Filly, then Two Below Rose, Time Flies, and they just kept coming. On the other side of the stakes schedule, Courage Under Fire, Changeover, and the dandy of them all, same year as Undercover Lover, Christian Cullen.
Why do you think Christian Cullen managed to jump out of the pack the way he did?
Well, I think he was sensational, obviously. There was obviously just, it clicked. I mean, in the pocket was the difference. I mean, in the pocket, I mean, Better Delight's probably making more of a statement now himself. At the time, in the pocket just brought in that sheer speed and toughness into our breed. And I think Christian Cullen was that first of that new wave.
So how old is he now?
He's 22 years old.
He doesn't look it, does he?
No, he's in great condition for his age, and it's a real testament to himself and to the studs and the trainers that have had him along the way. He's just really enjoying it, not having any competition and just being able to be a horse and being the dominant one.
What's he like to be around in his old age?
Yeah, he can be a bit of a grumpy bugger. You know, handling's confined to myself, but you know, at the same time, it's a real pleasure to handle such a great stallion and great racehorse.
More about Cullen and how history may be about to repeat itself. Jonathan McNeil runs a comparative boutique breeding operation these days, just northwest of Christchurch. Barra Equine is home for the family, a couple of standardbred stallions, and handfuls of elite mares. It's an easy street compared with the North American and Australasian scenes he's been up to his elbows in the last 20 years or more. Jonathan's seen stallions come and go, hybrid vigour go belly up, champions turn into super sires, and the opposite. Like many in the standardbred breeding business, he rates Better Delight as the most potent stud ever. Great if you can get some, and there's plenty to go around, but also an opportunity for those who don't house the world's greatest stallion.
Better Delight's obviously been, he's like the perfect storm. He's not only been a great sire of racehorses, he's also very, very fertile. And that's, you know, I've dealt with a lot of stallions who've been good sires, but they've never been able to serve the numbers that he can. So he's been able to capitalise on that. But yeah, I mean, and you definitely need to have another an outcross to go in over all his daughters, because we're going to have a lot of the Better Delight daughters floating around, and they're going to be good.
New Zealand stallions like the one you've got here, Sir Lincoln and Auckland Reactor, are they sort of in the right place at the right time, you think?
I do think that, actually, yeah. I think the other key thing is that Mac 3, their sire, of the top sires in Australasia at the moment, he's the only sire of sires. I mean, he's proven to leave sons that can leave racehorses. So with that in their sort of arsenal, as well as being an outcross for those mares, you know, the direct scooter over the Cam Feller line, we know that works internationally. That does give them a chance to go across all those Better Delights mares.
There are colonial bred stallions carrying that direct scooter blood, looking to step up and help the New Zealand Standardbred surge ahead again.